Alright, let's get started on the massive draw knife build. We'll get to the measurements and dimensions a little bit later. First thing I gotta do, I've got to get this annealed. Now if you don't know, annealing is softening this old rasp. What I gotta do is get it very, very, very hot and let it sit and cool down. And this will take at least half a day just for it to cool down after it gets hot. Now it will not fit in my forge, or that one, or even the coal forge. And the way I used to do it, I would build a fire just in the fire pit and put it in there. But I may have to leave in a little while, so I don't want to do that. I don't want to leave the fire burning, because once it gets hot, it's got to cool down naturally. If you put water on anything like that, you'll ruin it. So I have Frankensteined up my forge with some fire brick, and I can get it all the way in there. And I'm gonna let it heat slowly, and then we'll turn the juice up, and we'll let it just soak in there. And when it gets done, I'll close up the front. I've got a couple more pieces of brick. Now, let me get the glove back on. This cold all week long has really taken a toll on us. I know it's worse in a lot of places, but still. And we're going to put it in here. And that's as far as it'll go. Hang on, let me make another adjustment. I got to put a piece on the bottom so it don't do that. I don't want it to bend, I want it to stay flat. Alright, it is working. That heat is following all the way to the back. That's hot. So I don't want to get the camera any closer. Alright, it's just about hot enough. I'm just going to turn it off and let it sit. And we'll come back to it later this afternoon. I got some other stuff to do that I'm working on, and so we'll go work on that. Alrighty, let's do some more grinding on the draw knife. And normally I do this outside because I don't like all these sparks in the shop, but I've got everything picked up, cleaned up, because it's very cold outside again. I had another cold front come through. It's raining, the wind is blowing, so I'm set up in the vise here. We're going to use a 60 grit flap disc. This is one of those new ones that I got in a while back, and basically it's going to hog off some material. I've already had it over on the 2x42, and that's going to take a long time on that grinder. So what I'm going to try to do is hog it off here, and then we'll take it back over there for the finishing. Got to smooth it out here, and just do some of that kind of stuff. Now, in light of my recent COPD attack, I'm gonna wear my respirator, so I won't be able to talk during this, but that's okay. So I'll get all suited up here, and we'll get to grinding. This is going to take a while. Now I've got most of the metal hogged off of here, and what I'm doing now, I'm starting to flatten out the back side. Now I don't want to take all these rasp marks out, I just want it smooth. I'm just about there on the big sander. Now I'm going to move over to the 2x42 and I'll work on a little bit more. We'll get this side smooth. I'm going to knock this down here. Same thing, I'm not going to take everything off, as well as this. I'm not going to take a lot more of this off, because I want it to keep its identity as a horseshoe rasp. Alright, now I'm going to lose, oh that's hot. I'm going to lose most of the mark from what it was. I wrote it down as a Heller Brothers Made in USA horseshoe rasp. And there's a picture of a horse right there. When I get it cleaned off, you may or may not be able to see it, because it was pretty rust pitted, and when I did the annealing, I lost some of it. But that's just the way it goes on these old files and rasp. And I'll put my maker's mark right up here when I get done. Now get it flattened out, cleaned up, then I'll start grinding the curve in it. It's not going to have a lot of a curve, just a little bit, because this is going to be used for skinning logs, and the longer, straighter the edge is, the easier it'll be. But it will have a little bit of curve right in here. Then we'll take it to the forge, heat it, bend the handles, and believe it or not, it's not far from being finished. And of course the heat treating, tempering, and all that. Alright, one other note to make on this. I may have said it earlier, I may not have. As I'm grinding, sanding, and all that, this gets very hot. Now, I don't want to water dunk it like you've seen me do on some things before, because this piece of steel is so big. It gets hot, water dunk it, now I'll lose the annealment. It'll get hard again. And I want it soft as I can get it until it's time to heat treat. So I'm having to let it cool down naturally. That's why it's taking a little bit longer, but that's okay. Sorry about my long hair, but I can't wear my hat when I got this on, so. There we go. We'll be back, look at some more in just a little bit. Boy, this thing is just a beast. Now the drawknife, what I'm doing, got it in the forge. I'm trying to establish a little bit of a curvature to it. Got a lot of metal ground off of it already. I don't want much, I just want a little bit of a curvature. Get that there some more. I'm taking very light blows, I'm not wailing on it. Is keeping it hot. It's going to take a little while, and we'll see what it looks like when I get done. Now we've got a very slight curvature in there. That's hot. Not much. We don't want much. Now I'm going to heat these ends and bend them over for the handles, and I'll go from here to the little anvil. And I'm going to have to hold it and do it, so just bear with me for just a minute. piece of steel. It's sort of hard to move that quickly anyway. I like to keep my anvil once I get it. I had to preheat it because it's cold out here this morning. I like to preheat mine, and once I get done doing a little bit of pounding, all that slag gets on there, I like to keep it cleaned off. That one's already cleaned off, so we're going to go to the little horn over there. And we'll switch to a pound and a half, I think, ball peat. With me now. I'm trying to get the camera moved where you can see. Still got a mess out here at the blacksmith shop. Reposition the vice grips, and I'll do the other side the same way, and we'll see it in a minute. Alrighty, here we go. Right there. Now I'm going to let it cool down naturally, and we'll go back into the grinder. And something made a noise back there. Go back into the grinder, clean it back up. Notice I left a lot on the edge here to grind off, because the thinner it is, the hotter you get it, it might just crack, but it didn't, so we're good. Now the anvil's hot. This is a piece of steel I use to preheat the anvil. And it's still hot, so I'm just going to leave it just like that for probably take 10, 15, 20 minutes, something like that. And we'll go to the next step. Almost done. Alright, getting it cleaned up with the flap disc and grinder. Now heat it up a little bit, so I'm going to let it sit here and cool again. And work. Got lots of work. So I got to get back in the shop while this is cooling. And I'll do some more. Yes. You know who you are. Alrighty, there we go. Got it all cleaned up. Still some more polishing and some more grinding to do. Still got to heat, treat, and temper. And that won't take too awful long. Now, I'm going to end this video right here and call it part 1. I don't want to get too awful long, because we still have to turn the handles. I've got the handle wood set up in the wood lathe, and we'll see that on the next video. Now I'm going to clamp it back in the jig. I'll do some more grinding. Got to adjust this length here just a little bit, no problem. And that'll be part 1. Now I had a doctor's appointment snuck up on me. This is Wednesday, that I have to be at in the morning at 8:30 over at the VA hospital. So appointments at 8:30. It'll be that plus a few things Mama's got to do. That'll eat up tomorrow. So by Friday afternoon this will be finished for sure. And thank y'all for watching. Thank you for your support. And I'll see y'all in part 2.